Yeah, we are live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to
Start.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another webinar. This time, our topic is Mysteries of History, and it's by LetUsTalkIt, of course. So, here we go. Now, the table of contents. First, we're going to do an About Us, where we'll introduce our panelists. Then, we'll talk about our mysteries. Exciting. And finally, we'll have our Q&A, where you can join live, or you can post questions. So, first, our About Us. Let's go. Vish.
Hello everyone, my name is Vish, and I'll be talking about the devil's footprints. A set of footprints that appeared mysteriously on the ground, on the roof, and on private courtyards, far and wide.
Hello everyone, my name is Vaughn, and now we're talking about two mysterious cities. And these two are known to be mythical, but we're still searching for them. So are they real?
You're up.
You're muted.
My name is Virat, and I'm a sixth grader from Trinity Easttown Middle School, and my topic this time is the anti-Catheter mechanism. Now we have Lemuel.
I am Lemuel, and I am new to this thing, like new to Let Us Talk It. My topic will be about Bigfoot.
Now we have Mahadi.
Hi, my name is Mahadi. I'm an eighth grader at Ruther Middle School in Michigan, and I will be talking about Jack the Ripper today.
And finally, we have Veda.
Hi, I'm Veda. I am a student I'm a seventh grader at Dr. S.J. Phillips Elementary School, and I will be talking about the Bermuda Triangle.
Okay, so here we go. Our mysteries. Now we have Vish's topic, the devil's footprints.
Hello everyone, like I said, I'll be talking about the devil's footprints. Now let's see some info that we have on the devil's footprints. Info. On the night of 8 to 9, February 1855, and one or two later nights after a heavy snowfall, a series of hoof-like footprints appeared in the snow. On the following morning, the inhabitants above the town were surprised at discovering the footmarks of some strange and mysterious animal endowed with the power of ubiquity, something like levitation is what it means, as the footprints were to be seen in all kinds of unaccountable places, on the tops of houses and narrow walls, in gardens and courtyards, enclosed by high walls and palings, as well in open fields. The superstitious go so far as to believe that they were the marks of Satan himself, and a great excitement has been produced that they are the mark produced among all classes may be judged from the fact that the subject has been designated from pulpit. The impressions of the foot closely resembled that donkey. For Vaughn, you went to slide too far. But okay. Donkey shoe and measured from 1.5 inches to, in some instances, 2.5 inches across. Here and there, it appeared as if a cloven, but in generality of shapes, generality of steps, the shoe was continuous, and from the snow in the center remaining entire, merely showing the outer crest of the foot. The area in which the prints appeared extended up to Exmouth up to Topsham, your name, and across the Eaks estuary to Dawlish and Teaganmouth. R.H. Busk, in an article published in Notes during 1890, stated that the footprints also appeared further afield, as far south as Totnes and Torquay, and that there were other reports of the prints as far away as Weymouth and even Lincolnshire. There's little direct evidence of the phenomenon. The only known documents were found after the publication during 1950 of an article in the Transaction of the Devonshire Association asking for further information about the event. Evidence. Many explanations have been made about the incident. Some investigators are skeptical that the treks really extended for more than 100 miles, arguing that no one would have been able to follow the entire course in a single day. Another reason for skepticism, as Joe Nickel indicates, is that the eyewitness descriptions of the footprints varied from person to person. One of the first theories is the balloon. Author Geoffrey Household suggests that an experimental balloon released by mistake from Port Dockyard had left the mysterious tracks by trailing 2 shackles on the end of its mooring ropes. His source was a local man, Major Carter, whose grandfather had worked at Devonport at the time. Carter claimed that the incident had been quieted because the balloon also wrecked a number of conservatories, greenhouses, and windows before finally descending to earth in Honiton, like the Loch Ness Monster. Animals, as it said, it wrecked conservatories too, so it might have been where these animals escaped from. Other theories were made that involved animals like hopping mice, like wood mice hopping. Another one is kangaroos. As bizarre as it seems, a report was filed that a couple of kangaroos escaped from a private minigear a few days before the appearance of the footprints. Badgers, too, are to put on the suspicious list. Here's a claim made by Richard Owens in 1855, arguing that the animal was the only plantigrade quadruped we have in this island, and it leaves a footprint much larger than would be supposed from its size. The number of footprints he suggested was indicative of the activity of several animals because it's improbable that only one badger should have been awake and hungry. He added that the animal was a stealthy prowler and most active and enduring in search of food. Now we'll be going on to the images, to see images of theories and footprints. So the first image you see about the beast thing is a theory image of what they thought the creature that created the devil footprints look like. The face of a demon and legs, and the rest of its body being donkey legs in a circular manner. Pretty cool.
Wish, we can't really hear you.
He's frozen.
Yeah. Wish, could you rejoin? You're frozen. Hello? Wish, are you there?
He's gone.
Well, we'll come back to Wish. So, move on. You can go.
That's the wrong slide.
Wait, what?
There's a slide before that. There we go. Well, that's not the order.
Hi guys,
Oh, Wish is back.
I got disconnected.
We almost skipped you.
And now it's loading.
There you go.
And the third image, which is next to the image of the devil's footprints on the top right, is of the descriptions of different people who saw the devil's footprints. Some of them actually look like donkey shoes, while others look like horseshoes, and some look like rabbits, and then there's some that even look like some kid dragged a stick in the snow. And the final picture you see under that one is print comparison of different animals. The first one is deers, I'm pretty sure. The second one would be rabbits. The third is either a dog or a wolf. And the last two, I'm not sure what they are. But, well, that's it for the devil's footprints.
Thank you, Wish.
A pretty odd phenomenon, if you ask me.
What?
Just saying that this is a pretty odd phenomenon.
Yeah,
Unless someone really wanted to pull a worldwide prank.
it was really fun to think of all that it kind of went and how it could have gone that way. But it was excellent info. Now we have Atlantis by the Bond.
That's not the order. Somebody mismatched my slides. I put them back. You have to refresh the page. There you go. Okay,
You
so
can do
Atlantis. Okay, so Atlantis. Atlantis was a mythical city imagined by Plato. So where is it? What is it? And is it real? Let's find out. So first of all, these are possible locations of Atlantis. The source here is from Wikipedia, although not many people here do trust Wikipedia. I had to go with it. because I found other sources that seem to back this up. So one was found in Florida, one was found in Colombia, well, near Colombia. It was even thought that Atlantis was Antarctica. Wow. There's also one off the coast of Africa and one by like there are some islands that Spain owns, and those are also off the coast of Africa. And Ireland was also thought to be Atlantis. Also something off the coast of Sweden and the border of Sweden to Russia. There was also believed to be there. And near a lake inside of Europe, there were two possible locations opposite to each other on the lake. One was near or on Sri Lanka. One was next to Borneo. And as you can see, most of these places are near water, and there's a reason for that. It's not because Atlantis is an underwater city. Next slide. So Atlantis. The first reference of Atlantis was made in 360 BC by Plato. And Plato is a Greek philosopher that no one messed with because he was kind of known as a god of philosophy. In 2009 to 2011, studies were conducted and found sunken cities. 2001 to 2022, artistic recreations and movies were made, 2 Aquaman movies and 1 other. Today, Atlantis is very popular and is fueled by people's imaginations. Now, what was Atlantis imagined as? What did Plato really think Atlantis was supposed to be? Well, as you can see below my text, that is a artistic recreation of Atlantis. If you were in my 4th grade social studies class, you would know that that looks like the Parthenon or the Acropolis. Next one. Okay, so Parthenon and Acropolis are Greek temples, and the Parthenon, however, was made in Nashville, Tennessee, or at least that's what I think. I'm kind of confused because my research kind of led me this sideways. So it definitely would be Greek because Plato was Greek, and so we can imagine it that way. And most Greek people usually only tell stories of Greek things, and that's how I got to this conclusion. Atlantis was described as a utopia, meaning that it had all the pleasures and it was the best world possible. There was barely anything bad in the world for Atlanteans. And Atlantis dry? Yeah, that's true. Atlantis was actually sunk. Plato described as a rift near Africa causing tidal waves which submerged it because they lost favor of the gods because the leaders of Atlantis grew corrupt. The philosophy and stories behind Atlantis are still kind of lopsided, so I wouldn't be able to translate it even if I tried. But it was not an underwater city with mermaids, as many people depict. Next slide. So now what was Atlantis? Well, it could have been the Minoans and Crete. Crete is a southerly island of Greece, and the king Minos, he was mythical and real. It's just the mythical man got the power to turn everything into gold. It didn't sound good for him, so he lived on Crete, and the Minoan culture was extremely similar to what Plato had described. They were very rich and they did do similar things to the Atlanteans, but it wasn't a total utopia. Maybe it was just perfected to Plato's wants. Okay, 2 was the Rishat structure. It is similar in geology. It's a African island. Well, no, it's a part of Africa. It's in a peninsula and is geographically accurate to Atlantis, being right at the location of Africa on the Atlantis map that I showed you before. So there's also the island of Madeira and Ireland. These were also two accurate ones that I chose. There's not really much history behind this. So now, here's a bonus. El Dorado, the city of gold. Here's another lost and mythical city. But is it? Is El Dorado really lost? Well, we don't know, but it was a myth that the Europeans had crafted when they found out that America existed. Next slide. Now we know that El Dorado is actually exists. It's just people didn't know that it existed before they spread the rumor. So unintentionally, they set people to find something that existed. So the real El Dorado are the people of Musha, and they live in Colombia. And as you can see on the previous slide, there was a picture of a leader of the Musha people. On the next slide, you can see two pictures. One of a golden statue. The golden person has kind of faded and looked a little bit brown, but you can still tell that it was made of gold. And they also had lots of earrings and lots of luxury. So it was known that the king of the Musha people dressed himself in gold and threw all the gold into a sacred lake every single day. And then some people, even during rituals, they would throw emeralds and gold into the lake. And the amount of gold and gold forging that happened in Musha and greatly increased after Columbus came in to colonize America. So that was it. I hope you liked my presentation.
Thank you, Vaban. Now, that was really informational, and especially Atlantis. I was, just as you thought, I was picturing Atlantis as some sort of place with mermaids, but of course, I also knew that it probably wouldn't be. And El Dorado, that was a fun bonus too. So, now we have the Anti-Catheter mechanism by me, and here I go. Now, the Anti-Catheter mechanism, judging by its name, may seem like a really complex thing and hard to pronounce, but it's quite easy. In fact, I even had to search it up. Well, first of all, what is it? Well, how does it work? And why is it made? And it was definitely a marvel indeed. So, I'll answer all these three questions as we go along. So, this is the Anti-Catheter mechanism. This is the artifact that has been recovered from a shipwreck. Now I'll go more into how it was found later. So this is an artistic depiction of how the gear systems work, and I aligned it to show you how exactly it would look. Now most of the actual artifact actually line up with most of these gears. So this shows how exactly it works. And all these gears are connected to each other in one way. And this, I'll go into the uses later. So this shows how each of them turn. And all of this is powered with one gear. And this gear is a screw, well, a hand screw. And you just crank the machine, and it would constantly keep pulling through the calculations, and you would get exactly what you would need. Now, what you would need is whatever you want it to be in the solar system then, which would be calculating positions. Now, The Antikythera mechanism was believed to be made in 100 to 150 BCE. Now, these secrets have been kept up for 2,200 years, and it's a marvel on how this artifact even still survived. Now, this is one of the first computers, and to be more exact, it is a analog computer rather than the digital computers. So analog computers are complex mechanisms that use physical calculations. Now, if you compare a digital computer to an analog computer, there's actually quite a difference between the two. Now, your device that you're watching this on, or you join through those live Zoom link, you're on a digital computer. It runs bits through logic gates and all that stuff. Now, these stuff used to be huge, and that's why analog computers were really famous then, because they could do a lot of calculations very quickly, and they didn't really require that. They were much smaller than the digital computers. Now, the digital computers came into play when the transistors and the logic gates all start to get smaller and smaller. Now we have them going all the way to the size of like one atom. They're nearing that size, and that's why there's overtook the analog computer era. Now we're in the digital era. Now there were many computers, and the abacus is a digital computer, while the Antikythera mechanism is an analog computer. How nice. Do competitions, but they both weren't for the same purpose. It's not like they can be put together. Now, physical calculations means if you turn one gear, if you turn another gear, then which would be your two inputs, then you would have one output, which would be the addition of both those gears with the gear mechanism. There we go. So the origins of the Antikythera mechanism. Now, the Antikythera mechanism, as it may sound like Latin, it actually is a Greek mechanism, and it was built to calculate the path of the sun and the moon. Now, I told you how its use and purpose was to calculate the position of stars and stuff like that in the solar system. And it was specifically made for the sun and moon, and it was quite ahead of its time. And again, it's not digital. So here are the uses and surprises that I found while researching. Now, the uses are the uses would be calculating the positions of the stars and the moons, and specifically by stars, they mean the sun, because the Greeks didn't really care about the stars as, that you see in the night sky as a star just like our sun. They thought our sun was special. Well, technically it is special, but as in those stars were just part of constellations, and they were special in their own kind, and we are special to have our sun, which is our star. So they didn't really think of it that way. So it was only for calculating the sun's position as a star. Now, they also used it for predicting eclipses thousands of years ahead of time, and it's amazing how it works. It also is used for calculating the positions of many other planets, like they have Venus, Jupiter, Saturn. I don't think there was Uranus or Neptune. I'm pretty sure those weren't discovered then. And they also had Mercury, and of course, the sun. Now, you may be asking me, why no Earth? Well, I'll tell you that later. Now, this machine also seems to have told which cities hosted the Olympics and when. Now, Olympics were actually started by the Greeks and started in Athens, and the Olympics have been hosted ever since by different cities every single time in the summer. Now, this was really important because you needed to know where you would be going for the Olympics. That was fun. And I also found some surprises. Now, it was very complex for the time, as you can tell, and used prime numbers. Now, this may not seem special, but it's the amount of teeth that they have on the gears are usually prime numbers. Now, this relates to how there are a lot of prime numbers involved in the calculations of the orbits of many planets in our solar system. And it was made very finely and delicately without many mistakes. This allowed it to be very accurate. Now, I don't know if there are more of these mechanisms, but so far we've only found one and only some of its parts, in fact. I forgot to mention this, but the reason why they know they have so much information about this is because they did X-ray photography and some other digital tools to actually help them understand how the machine itself worked. Now, this is very much more of a marvel because it explains a geocentric model. Now, let's take in the facts for a minute. Now, we learned its uses, we learned its origins, and we also saw an image. Now, what's next? Well, the geocentric model is next. The geocentric model is two words, geo and centric. Centric means at the center, and geo basically means Earth. So Earth at the center, the Earth at the center model. Can you guess what this means? It's exactly what it says. It's a model where they thought that the Earth was in the middle and we were special, and everything else orbited around us, including the sun. Now, of course, this doesn't work, and today has been replaced by the Copernican model, and I hope you know what this means, but if you don't, it basically means we are not special. We also rotate around the sun like any other planet, and because it sounded so controversial, they banned it for a few hundred years, so I'm not going to get to it. Now, it's surprising because if you were calculating the positions of Venus, then of course they did. Then their model actually showed that one sometime it'd be rotating retrograde, one time it'd be going at prograde. So it constantly kept changing positions and rotations. So this wasn't really realistic. But hey, they actually were able to predict it even with their own model. So those are the surprises and uses. So this is lost and found. It was lost and it was found in a shipwreck over where this is pointing, and where exactly it's pointing is in the Aegean Sea near the island of Crete and Greece. And it was found in a shipwreck, including many other artifacts. They pieced together it one by one, and they actually got a pretty good idea on what it is. So that's, as you can tell, that's actually quite close to Italy, and found and retrieved. Now it's placed in the National Museum of Archaeology. Now it's in Sofia City in Bulgaria, the Museum of Archaeology, and they placed it there for show. And you can see this is also near Italy, and it's actually not that far from the island of Crete. And you can see the island of Crete, which is very small, right over there. And it would be somewhere near between this peninsula and this island of Crete. The Aegean Sea would be there, and then the Crete Sea would be there. And they just moved it up low. So, yeah, that was all from my presentation. Now we have Bigfoot, but by
Hi, I'm Lemuel, and my topic is Bigfoot. Is he real, or is he just a made-up story? Next slide. What we think Bigfoot looks like. People have taken pictures of Bigfoot, and he is seen as a ape-like monster that has been lurking in backyards and some forests. Some people say they've seen him, but don't have proof. Some others have taken pictures, but that might just be for clickbait, and it might be just people wearing monkey costumes. Now, most of the sightings is in America and maybe a little bit in Canada. On the legend right next to the map is pink dots stand for the least sightings, orange as the most, and blue as the in the middle. And on the graph, you can see that most of it is in West America and a little bit in Russia as well. Next. So yeah, again, we know that most of it is in North America, also including Canada, which is surprising to me because I always thought Bigfoot was only spotted in America, like no other places. And it also surprised me as Russia was is separated from us by water. So it's surprising how Bigfoot even got there. Yeah.
Now, that was great. And one thing to tell you actually about Bigfoot is that about Canada. Canada and Russia are slightly connected by a land bridge. It's actually most of it is gone now because of flooding, but it actually it might have been possible that it got over or through the land bridge. But anyways, that was actually very nice, and I never knew that Bigfoot. Yeah, me too. I was also surprised how Bigfoot got all the way over to Russia. I'm pretty sure he probably wouldn't be that old to cross that land bridge now. Another thing that caught me surprising is that in northeast USA there'd be a lot of Bigfoot sightings. That's where a lot of the urban city would be. So I'm surprised that it's all the way over there. So now we have Jack the Ripper by Mahadi.
Hi everyone. We have covered missing cities and mysterious tracks, but I'm going to be talking about a serial killer with an amazing amount of fame, Jack the Ripper. Let's first dive into the entire background of the mystery. Jack the Ripper was an unidentified serial killer active in the largely impoverished areas in and around the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. The attacks that he committed were often on female prostitutes and around the East End of London. The rumors and conspiracies of the murders were intensified from a series of letters, supposedly from the killer. The name Jack the Ripper was particularly taken from a letter that claimed the killer was spread in the media. It is widely believed to be a hoax and written by journalists to promote their stories. An investigation of 11 brutal murders was unable to connect a pattern between them, but there are canonical 5 that are most likely to be linked to the Ripper. The murders were never solved, and legends surrounding these crimes became a combination of historical research, folklore, pseudo-history, capturing public imagination to the present day. Now let's talk about the murders and how they rose up to be famous on the next slide. This slide will contain some triggers. 11 separate murders stretching from the 3rd of April 1888 to the 13th of February 1891 were known as the Whitechapel murders. 5 of these were known to be the work of the Ripper. In autopsies on the victims, it was discovered that a slash wounds to the throat, removal of internal organs, facial and genital mutilations were the Ripper's modus operandi, aka the mode of operating or signature style of killing. The canonical 5 Ripper victims are Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. Mary Ann Nichols was found at about 3:40 a.m. on Friday, 31st August 1888. The corpse had been slashed, as well as a cut on her lower abdomen. 1 week later, Annie Chapman was found in the backyard of Hanbury Street. Similar to Mary Ann Nichols, her throat had been stabbed, but her internal organs were taken out, causing the first suspicions of the killer's job. Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes were both killed in the early morning hours of Sunday, 30th September 1888. In Elizabeth's case, her neck had been cut out, leading the police to believe that the Ripper had been interrupted. Itos had been gruesomely mutilated, including her face, eyes, and internal organs being taken out. The extensively mutilated and disemboweled body of Mary Jane Kelly was discovered lying on her bed in the single room where she lived at 13 Miller's Court off Dorset Street at 10:45 a.m. on Friday, 9th November of 1888. She had her internal organs displayed around her, yet her heart was missing. Historically, the belief that these 5 canonical murders were committed by the same perpetrator is derived from a contemporary documents which link them together to the exclusion of others. Moving on to the after effects and the investigation on the next slide. A large team of policemen conducted house-to-house inquiries through Whitechapel. Forensic material was collected and examined. Suspects were identified, traced, and either examined more closely or eliminated from the inquiry. More than 2,000 people were interviewed, upwards of 300 people were investigated, and 80 people were detained. Butchers, slaughterers, surgeons, and physicians were suspected because of the manner of the mutilations. Some contemporary figures, including Queen Victoria, thought that the pattern of the murders indicated that the culprit was a butcher or cattle drover on one of the cattle boats that plied between London and the mainland Europe. In September 1888, a group of volunteer citizens in London's East End formed the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. They patrolled the streets looking for suspicious characters, partly because of the dissatisfaction with failure of the police to apprehend the perpetrator, and also because some members were concerned that the murders were affecting businesses in the area. Suspects indicated that the Ripper was in regular employment and lived locally. Others have opinionated that the killer was an educated upper-class man, possibly a doctor or an aristocrat, who ventured into the Whitechapel from a more well-to-do area. Such theories draw on cultural perception, such as fear of the medical perception, a mistrust of modern science, or the exploitation of the poor by the rich. Hundreds of letters claim to have been written by the killer himself, and 3 of these in particular are prominent: the Dear Boss letter, the Saucy Jack postcard, and the From Hell letter. The Dear Boss letter was received that day by the Central News Agency. Initially, it was considered a hoax, but when Ados was found 3 days after the letter's postmarked with the section of one ear obliquely cut from her body, the promise of the author of the note to clip the lady's ear off gained attention. The Saucy Jackie postcard was postmarked on the 1st of October, 1888, and was received the same day by Central News Agency. The handwriting was similar to the Dear Boss letter and mentioned the canonical murders committed on the 30th of September, which the author refers to by writing a double event these times. The From Hell letter was received by George Lux, leader of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. On the 16th of October, 1888, the handwriting and style is unlike of the Dear Boss and the Saucy Jackie postcard, but the letter came in a small box, which Lux discovered half a human kidney, preserved in spirits of wine, ethanol. Overall, the letters were another unique part of these murders. On the next slide, I'll be concluding. To conclude, the Jack the Ripper murders were very unique, and they have also impacted the media we have today. There are many examples of Jack the Ripper in pop culture, and the story of Jack the Killer is going on strong. Movies and books like The American Ripper, From Hell, Sherlock Holmes, and The Ripper are prime examples of this. Thank you for listening to this mystery.
Thank you, Mahadi. That was fun, and well, not exactly fun. That was also kind of scary, but it was interesting about on how he was able to do how quickly he got so many deaths, and especially his style of killing, of removing their organs, and how it actually got to the media, and a quite unconventional style of even sending the letters. Now that was interesting. So next we have the Bermuda Triangle by Leda.
Today I will be talking about the Bermuda Triangle, the disappearances, where it's located, why boats, planes, and people mysteriously disappeared in the area. Next slide. The Bermuda Triangle is located off the coast of Florida, Puerto Rico, and a small island called Bermuda. If you connect the points together, it forms a triangle. Now you know how it got its name. The disappearances. The Bermuda Triangle, there have been many disappearances in the area since 1945. Over 50 ships, 35 planes have mysteriously disappeared in the area. There have been many rumors of sinking. Some believe it was aliens, others believe there was a huge hole in the Earth's supernatural forces, and some believed it was magic. Next slide. There have been many disappearances. The first known disappearance in the area was in 1945 when 5 US Navy planes disappeared doing routine training exercises. This is a quote from one of the pilots, Charles C. Taylor. "It looks like we are entering whitewater. We're completely lost," he said, before crashing into the ocean along with 12 other men. The US Navy investigated the crash but marked the case as unknown because none of the remains have been found yet. In the area, 18 years later, a tanker ship carrying 39 passengers was seen near the southern coast of Florida before it flew too close to the Bermuda Triangle. From the first disappearance in 1945 to 1980, 25 small planes went missing in the area. Later, in 1984, a Cessna plane departed from Fort Lauderdale, vanished from radar signals before falling into the Bermuda Triangle. Next slide. The first picture, you can see an overview map that shows where the Bermuda Triangle is located. The second picture is a closer view of the map, which shows where it's located and what islands it covers. The Bermuda Triangle was famous for all the disappearances, and many people theorized what happened to the people. Some even say that the people went missing, were kidnapped by aliens that live underwater.
Are you done?
Yes.
Thank you, Veda, for the presentation. Now, it was really interesting with the Bermuda Triangle because I actually have done some quite research on my side myself about the Bermuda Triangle before, and it's actually quite an interesting topic. And all these myths can be quite unrealistic, but I'm pretty sure there'll be a scientific explanation somewhere about why this happens. So now we have the Q&A interaction session, and you can join the Zoom directly to interact, and if not, then we can move on. So do we have any questions?
No. I want to say one thing. So, in the Bermuda Triangle, I've read about Atlantis, and apparently they think that because of the disappearance of planes, they thought the disappearance of structures were also possible, and Atlantis may have disappeared with all the planes and ships that went into the Bermuda Triangle. Interesting.
It's probably just a coincidence due to the timing, because probably just like how the land bridge between Canada and Russia disappeared. Probably it's just through flooding.
Wasn't the land bridge during the Ice Age still like it would have been there, but global warming would have melted it and flooding and everything?
Yeah, what I was thinking is like maybe Bigfoot crossed during Ice Age, I guess, and went into Russia and just stayed there.
That's actually very possible because there's like a giant Opithecus monkey animal that we found fossils for. It lived in the era, and it was known to have existed in Alaska, Canada, Russia, and northern parts of America.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like the land bridge was actually still there near the 18th century, so probably did cross it. If he's real, of course.
So, are there any other sunken or mysterious cities that you know of?
Well, disappearing.
There was some planes that disappeared in 2014, but planes crossed through the Bermuda Triangle while going to Asia, Africa, and Europe, but none of them have disappeared. So maybe it might have been a coincidence, but
So, Atlantis was also known to have a correlation with Pompeii. The Pompeii explosion, volcanic activity was also correlated to a earthquake in the area, which was known to create a tsunami, which was known to create a flood, which was known to drown the island of Crete. Lots of which is known.
Okay. One last thing that I want to mention is they're actually not like real life Atlantis. There's like there are many I would say cities that are prone to flooding. So there might be quite a few cities going underwater soon. So yeah, if we don't have any more questions, we can end the webinar.
So the panelists will be discussing the topic, but we can stop the live stream.
I don't think.
Great presentation, Veda.